How's it going, guys? It's Mr. Lo4f, and today I'm going to go and do a contract called Spirit of the River, I believe it is. And yes, my loaf is a goddamn professional. He figured out how to compact a couple of trailers. Yeah, so for this one, it's fixing a watchtower. It's in the third set of contracts. And overall, it's pretty simple. I need one lot of long logs and then two metal rolls. So, hence, like, I've got the Dolphin set up for the long logs, and then, yeah, I could just tow the loaf behind me, but while I was in the garage and the Kenworth was there and I was able to lift it and whatnot, I thought I'd give it a go. So for the first part of the mission, I've got to just go to the garage, the warehouse that's pretty near the garage, grab two metal rolls, and then, yeah, sort of double back on myself quickly, down to the southern gateway, and then travel over to the second map by the lake. And then once I'm there, I'll kind of show you the rest of the route, just because whilst I'm on this map, if I kind of bring the other map up now, I can't draw a line on it yet until I'm there, so it just makes more sense. I end up kind of going over it at the beginning of each video, and I think half the time I end up just editing it back out because I've got a neater version with lines included a little bit later. Yeah, going along here, I mean, when I lifted the trailer with the crane as well, I kind of just lifted the loaf on, and the trailer was on, like, on the piss a little bit, so I used the Kenworth and kind of lifted it up, and it balanced pretty nicely. Oh, typical glitch there as well. It must, on top of everything else going disastrously wrong, the PlayStation must be getting full of memory too. Yeah, apologies, there's a tiny glitch there, but yeah, I was able to balance the trailer flat, and then that's why I kind of hesitated going over that bumpy bit, but then the trailer kind of dropped down anyway, although typically the game managed to lose that 0.5 second of footage. But in the end, it didn't really matter. I kind of smashed the trailer a bit on the wall there as well. Yeah, for the most part, I kind of knew. I just was curious by the time I was running the setup in the garage, so I lifted the loaf and did this. But for the main part, I could have just towed him behind me. It was kind of, you'll see, pretty soon. It wasn't going to last too long in the mission. However, yeah, he still counts as like he's in the square, so I can pack cargo. He's a goddamn professional. He knows how to pack cargo. First time every time. And then, yeah, we're good to go. For what it's worth, I would like to do a bit more testing, because I believe I've tested it back in the day, and I can't remember now. But I took the rear wheel arches off the Dolphin. I just always do. It's one of the trucks that lets you do it. A fair amount of them. You might be able to swap the rear fenders, but it'll... it doesn't necessarily let you just completely remove them, and I always do. I don't know why, I just always imagine, if anything, it's got to be less things to catch on stuff. However, in this particular case, which I didn't even plan until kind of I was in the in the yard, yeah, I believe the loaf wheels kind of like are catching on the Dolphin wheels, so I wouldn't mind at some point. I'll just have to put it on the long to-do list. Yeah, just to see if the rear fenders, like, if it'll actually stop the wheels catching as much. For the most part, it didn't really matter. I'm kind of motoring along in high now. You'll just see every now and then it'll bleed a little bit of speed and then carry on as normal, which I assume is one of the wheels kind of snagging a little bit. I think along here somewhere it kind of brakes pretty hard. Yeah, it got me there. And you can see it's like front wheel, front left's tucking in. I only did, it was probably about like 5 seconds there. It wasn't even really worth an edit in the end. I think I attached a winch and that. In the end, there wasn't really much point, just because, as you'll see, in like the gateway is just down the road, and I kind of had a plan or an assumption, shall I say, with the game that worked out pretty nicely. So for whatever reason, just the wheels stopped being a pain. I think once I attached the winch to the loaf and he was driving, his wheels just popped out. Now obviously normally I'd like to travel through the gateway like this, but I know it'll do the ghost thing where it kind of like, yeah, makes them ghost trucks and they sort of phase into each other. But in this particular case, I already knew it'd work out pretty nicely, because at some point I was going to have to take the loaf off and kind of get it out from that login trailer, which would have been a little bit awkward without knocking the metal rolls off. But yeah, that all worked out pretty nicely. So for the mission, there's a, what's it called, watchtower down there. That's the place I've got to go to, I'm going to need long logs. There is 2 places to get long logs on this map. That's the one I'm going to because it just kind of works out. Yeah, I could follow like the highway round to the logging station, but I'm going to sort of go through the mountain snowy bit just to see how it goes, and then over to the left hand side of the map, the way it's rotated, because I can cut down there, get across the river is the main thing. Yeah, and then connect back to the highway kind of the last little bit. Should be pretty simple. And as for fuel and stuff as well, like, I wanted to run it. I kind of had a feeling that between the Dolphin and the Lo4f, they'd get the job done. But for example, like, I just went past the maintenance trailer there that I stashed, I don't know, a little while ago on the map for later use. Yeah, I was aware, like, as I was driving past it, I'm not low on fuel particularly, but I knew the rest of this journey would probably burn a bit more fuel. So yeah, I could have topped up like the Dolphin and the Lo4f if I really wanted to. And at the minute, by the way, you'll see I ended up having like a couple of runs up here. I forgot at this point that I even had a trailer with metal rolls on. Hence why I didn't even look round then when the Lo4f kind of, when I got caught and it smashed into me. It's only now when the Lo4f was flopping around I suddenly was like, oh yeah, shit, I've got metal beams. Let off the accelerator a bit, or metal rolls, sorry. Yeah, it's rare I ever really use like the Scout 2-slot trailer. I suppose tonight was kind of like a little test to see, does it drive me mad or not? The answer is certainly a little bit. You see, I was pretty happy that Dolphin made that corner well, but unfortunately it's just the corner's too tight where with the trailer and then the Lo4f and everything, it just, yeah, it tries to cut the corner and it tipped the Lo4f pretty quickly on like the rock on the inside. So I did the quit and reload method. For one, sorry, I haven't got a crane on me, so it wouldn't let me put a crane on whilst I've also got the long log attachment. But I also wanted another go just to kind of double check it myself and see, like, is it gonna make it? Is there like any way possible? Yeah, overall, I don't think there is, given like the current setup. Do you know what would be nice while I was thinking about it is the long log thing. Back in MudRunner, you used to be able to get trailers that kind of folded up on themselves and kind of prop themselves up on the truck, so you didn't really have like a full length trailer going. And the P16, I've seen videos on YouTube where they're using it, but like the big rails on sort of the back of the truck, on the P16 or on the roof, sort of like at the back of the roof, that's got like a little V sort of notch in the middle, and that is in real life where like the trailer folds up and sits in that little notch. So I'm surprised by now they haven't, yeah, kind of used the idea, because I mean it's their idea from back in the other game, and it was it's just pretty cool, pretty handy. And in this case, if the trailer folded up on itself, the Lo4f would be close enough to the back of my truck that it wouldn't keep catching on rocks on the inside. Like, that's one thing with a road train, is you can't really help that the rear vehicle tries to cut the corner all the time. When I did that ore stoke mission or contract, whatever, the other week, that went disastrously wrong, but it was when I went from the road to the mud, the 57X kind of cut the corner, but then the Derry 15C thing, whatever it was, behind me, yeah, drove over the rock and rolled. Yeah, I wasn't even trying to say rock and roll or anything then, but it just happened. Yeah, Lo4f, goddamn horse, gets up there with no problems. And like I say, in theory, there was a slightly easier way to go, but I know the Dolphin's a beast, so once it's wound up kind of in high gear, yeah, it does burn a bit of fuel, but you kind of get some good mileage for your money in theory. Well, yeah, I say in theory. This is an example of a patch. It's just like death mud as near as makes no difference. Not really like challenging per se. That's the thing. I'm basically just squeezing the throttle the entire time. I'm occasionally steering right and then letting the steering just go straight. What little patches like this do though is burn your fuel. Like, it probably wasn't a lot there, but you know, I'll probably say burn 10 fuel for a truck length or whatever. That's how it kind of nails you, really. Like, the difficulty in and of itself doesn't really spike. You just yeah, if anything, it's less, because at that speed you've got no risk of tipping via crashing into something and flying over, like, unless you're driving at that speed and you're already on like a pretty severe angle. You can see there as well, it's like, if you winch the winch in like as close as you can to the trailer, at least because the rear axles of the trailer sit quite wide, you can see like the loaf kind of sits inside the sort of the width of the trailer, so it helps not to catch on stuff like that. But yeah, it's just when you have a sharp corner, even like the trailer itself will try and cut the corner and all sorts, and you can't avoid that one as much. I mean, in theory now, I already knew it was going to when I travelled through the gateway, but if the loaf was still packed onto the Dolphin as well, it probably would have been a bit more successful. But yeah, like I already knew going through the gateway it was going to ghost the trucks. See there again. At this point, that's why I just floor it now a bit, because if the trailer's going to tip, you can see it thinking about it there, so I keep panning the camera back a bit. But yeah, it's sometimes a bit of forward momentum kind of stops it having time to tip over to the side. And while we're ticking along now, by the way, yeah, apologies for anyone that was watching the live stream yesterday and it ended. I have absolutely no idea what happened or why it ended. I was still doing the live stream for probably another 15 or 20 minutes, apparently talking to near enough, well, yeah, no one, but I don't even know precisely when it ended or what was going on. Well, I can see from the footage on the live stream, but essentially, from my point of view, I had no idea it ended. I was still going for a little while, and then, yeah, I seen it said 0, and there was, like, just nothing was going on. It all seemed a bit weird. I looked on my phone, and it was kind of, I think it ended when I was driving up the hill, the big snowy hill, and it just kept kind of, like, glitching back and repeating the last second of the live stream, but on my PlayStation and TV and everything, I was still live streaming. I had to end the live stream, even though, yeah, at that point, for the last 10-15 minutes, I don't know if I was just live streaming to God knows where, or, yeah, I'm assuming it ended, but I really don't know what was going on with that. I don't even think it's like my PlayStation or SnowRunner. I don't know if it was the internet or what the hell it is. I've never had that before, and I can't even, like, pin it down to any one thing. It's weird, I don't know. It ended the live stream, but didn't end it. Like, I was still, yeah, live streaming, according to well, my PlayStation and my phone at the time. And the weird thing was, because I messaged Mark Rowe earlier, and I said, like, I think it was the internet, and he said, funnily enough, his internet did a weird thing. And I've not replied to him yet, but the funny thing was, as the live stream did that, well, when I figured it out, so I think it said the live stream went for about 1 hour 14, and it was probably about 1 hour 30, 1 hour 35 that I realised, like, yeah, it's not broadcasting apparently, or it said there's no viewers and there was like nothing going on. And then yeah, I tried to refresh my phone, and then my phone not just crashed the YouTube app, but it crashed my entire phone and just turned it off and brought the Apple symbol up by itself. And then while I was waiting for that to reload so I could put a message on YouTube to say, yeah, sorry, I don't even know why the live stream ended, I put my TV on just to put something on the telly, and yeah, my Amazon Fire Stick also reset and then came up with like the Fire Stick thing, so it's weird. I even kind of thought to myself as a joke, like, as a nuclear war started, is that like what'll happen if an EMP blast goes off or something? Yeah, so for me personally, for whatever reason, the internet, well, I don't know, the internet was still working, but yeah, it wasn't live streaming. But yeah, my phone also kind of shit its pants and reset, and my TV and Amazon stick, so yeah, I don't even know. Anyway, yeah, enough of that ramble. I've got my long logs, and then I'm kind of cutting over, yeah, to the left-hand side of the map, kind of, if it's rotated the usual way. Basically, because this river is just like, there's not many places to cross it. There's some quite nice routes sort of heading down the middle of the map, But yeah, you just get stopped by, there's like a little village thing going on, and there's just a lot of stuff in the way that you can catch on anyway. But then on top of that, when you go across the river, it's just deeper than, I'm pretty certain, what the vast majority of trucks are going to do anyway, to the point it's just going to stall you. And it's not the end of the world, it's doable, you can go diagonally and all the rest of it and kind of let the current take you. But yeah, while I had the logs and the fact that I've got no crane and no logging crane, I was like, just no. Not even going to do it. Especially, funnily enough, the bit of the live stream that actually, I believe, made it onto YouTube, yeah. It was a right beast with the trailer. I'm trying to think what even happened now. It flipped. I don't know. Multiple times, just catching it on something, it kept pinging over and all sorts. And yeah, if the live stream ended as I was going up the hill... By the way, yeah, look, victory horn. The Lo4f summoned cargo with his horn. That's what a goddamn professional he is. Yeah, just I needed to refuel the Dolphin in the end, but I was going to tuck it up like the inside. That's what she said. But I went round this way because yeah, I wanted to just move that trailer out the way as well, because I kind of figured if I catch it, I don't know. To be fair, the Dolphin will probably just ram whatever that truck is out of the way. For what it's worth, like, I winched the trailer a little bit, and the trailers kind of fell off and detached from the truck. That seems to be like a theme with this phase, because we've definitely had trucks in the past. I know for a fact I've rolled trucks where the trailer stays attached. I'm trying to think off the top of my head, was it phase 8? The last map? Where there was like some truck crashed off the side with a big fat heavy trailer. By the way, I honked the horn there. That 57X, I believe, is mine. But yeah, just as far as fuel goes, I kind of was aware that even that truck that I kind of just moved the trailer out of the way as well. I could have poached fuel from either of them, but now I was kind of thinking, I want to drop the hammer and see if I can actually make the mission, because I kind of predicted / hoped that I'd be able to. I've already now done the fuel from the Lo4f to the Dolphin, so the Lo4f's got some fuel itself, but yeah, kind of like I'd need to theoretically find a fuel station. I also went past like a scout fuel trailer. There was loads of times that I could have got fuel on this mission, so there was other options. I assume though, if the 57X is mine, that obviously won't be necessarily an option for everybody. And the maintenance trailer I've stashed there, but the scout fuel trailer and that truck that's crashed I just moved, I assume, maybe not, I didn't actually look, but I might have some fuel in it. Yeah, I was just saying though, with the trailers, like, I just moved that trailer and it disconnected from the truck. And then the other day I crashed into that Yar 87 that's got a trailer on it as well on the road, and they disconnected. So, I don't know. I just randomly, when I've seen it do the same thing with that trailer, I wonder if that's on purpose or if that's theoretically some kind of bug where it's making them detach. Because yeah, if it's going to ask me to tow that truck again and the trailer, I assume I'm now going to have to go with something to connect the trailer and then tow the truck behind that, rather than, like, you know, just being able to sort of winch the whole thing in one go. And yeah, as I was driving through now, I was kind of thinking, like, the fuel's definitely pushing it. There is some in the Lo4f, but as I have had the engine on for the majority of the time while I've been towing the Lo4f behind me, it's not going to have 80 litres of fuel. I think last time I looked it was like 55 or something, so it's probably, the Lo4f, to its credit, he's goddamn professional, he doesn't drink a lot of fuel, so it'll still have probably, like, I'd imagine at least a good 40 I could move over to the Dolphin and still have a little bit left. But then yeah, the route I picked, thankfully really, kind of ended up here where I'm now veering off to, like, the main road. Because I'd kind of thought in my head, like, where I just got there and I sort of turned right up to this main road, I could have kind of cut across up and to the left really and followed essentially like an off-road route. That actually isn't too bad. I believe I drove along it on like the exploration video. But nonetheless, when I was drawing the line earlier, I kind of thought to myself, well, do I want to go the kind of highway way, or shall I go this other route? And I thought, well, I'll draw the highway route, but yeah, if there's plenty of fuel left and whatever, I might go the off-road route. Yeah, kind of scrapped that idea when I realised I was cooking the fuel a little bit. But now we're on the road. It's ticking along pretty nicely, and I believe already by now it shrinks the screen. Yeah, I've turned the engine on the Lo4f just to kind of... It's another example of... That's what I've always liked with the Dolphin. Again, you drop the hammer. But that's one thing I've always liked about the Lo4f. Well, one of many things. Yeah, as a good example now, like I'm towing it behind me, and it's got a 2-slot trailer on it, and the engine's off, but the Dolphin's still ticking along in high gear. And yeah, there's other, like, for example, just to go to like the other end of the spectrum, you could bring, say, a TUZ Tatrin 420 with you, and if you tip over, that thing's obviously going to be pretty efficient at tipping you back. But then I'd have to drag a TUZ 420 behind me now, and yeah, engine off and everything, that thing would be like an absolute anchor. So the Lo4f, he's small, he's weightless unless you need some weight, but yeah, he's a nice blend. He doesn't hold you back when you're driving along, dropping the hammer on the road. He's good with the fuel, but still a goddamn horse. He's flipped the biggest trucks in the game repeatedly on video. He's still got his 100% rescue record. Yeah, it's a shame really. There's like this route up the hill just on the last bit, and it's just not really. It doesn't really give you a fair crack at it. Where you can see like the rear wheels are now catching on that rock. Yeah, the rock seems particularly violent. You could see sparks popping out at some point. Where the hell they came from, I don't know. Yeah, I kind of played it from a point of view of, because I've not got much fuel left, I'm not even going to mess around trying to, like, if I had 200 fuel or whatever, I'd blip my throttle for a bit and try and steer around, see if there's a way up there. I just started firing winches out, like, to the back of the trailer and all sorts, just kind of the quick way of getting up there, where I just knew I'm not even going to sit here sort of wheel spinning. Like I say, it's, in theory, it'd be a nice run and a nice route, but yeah, this rock, particularly here that they've put in the way, you can see even like the Lo4f kind of caught it there and it skidded me off to the side. And then without winches, the Lo4f can climb it, but then the trailer, I don't even think it's like made it as far as the wheels. And the reason I never really liked this trailer back in the day is it's got very small wheels on it, but it's also got like the mud flat fender things over the wheels that, to me, I'm convinced they act like shovels, like particularly the front ones. They sort of, once the wheels sink in a bit, they yeah, the trailer just ends up being like a bit of a pain to drag along. See there as well, I clipped something with the Lo4f that pulled me off to the right, and there's not really a rock or anything. It's a bit weird with the hitboxes going up there. And again, it just kind of, there wasn't really any point in trying to do like an honest drive up there. It was just like fire winches out, because yeah, it's a little bit over the top with the sharpness of the hitbox on that rock. But nonetheless, we got there. The old Lo4f got it done. Yeah, I think the Dolphin had 20 odd litres of fuel left, so certainly cutting it pretty fine. But again, I had faith. I knew the Lo4f could get it done, and he did. He brought enough fuel for the job. That's the important thing. Yeah, I mean, these missions, it's building a watchtower. I don't need it anymore. 5,500 or whatever for the mission. Not amazing, really, but again, it's not the end of the world at this point. It's just, yeah, one of the contracts to tick off the list. I also click the launch observation point, or whatever it's called. Yeah, it just shows you, like, the movie studio. But anyway, yeah, that's about it for today, though. I hope you enjoyed. I hope that helps. Thanks for watching. Get yourself a Lo4f, because he is still a goddamn professional, and I'll be back soon.